All right, welcome to the Phoenix Cast. I am your host Phoenix, and I've got my host, co-host Govind. Hey, hi Govind.
Hi Pranav.
Hey, welcome to the Phoenix Cast. And this is episode one of a brand new podcast. So if you guys haven't already, hit the follow button on Spotify, and you might also be listening to this on Pocket. Or you can also just hit the subscribe button and ring the bell in YouTube if you're watching this there. So we've got an amazing show lined up for you guys. We've got three topics. We've got AMD's upcoming Ryzen 7000 launch, which Govind actually doesn't know much about because he doesn't follow AMD, which is chill. And what to expect with that. We have got Nvidia clearing stock of RTX 30 series GPUs in preparation for what they call the next generation of GPU technology. And then we've got something that Govind might be slightly more akin to Apple's September Far Out event that's coming up. What to expect, renders, and our thoughts on iOS, which will be a little fun. Also, we've got some questions from you guys, and remember that if you always want to ask questions, you can reach out to us via Twitter. And just do it that way. And you can also reach out to us via Instagram or other platforms. Links are in Spotify in the description and also on YouTube. So without further ado, let's begin.
Begin.
All right, let's get to the first topic, Govind. Why don't you just get us through what we're working with here?
The first topic we're going to talk about is the new Ryzen 7000. So, it's the code name for this is Raphael, and it's going to be released around September 15th, which is what we know about it. So, when the previous generation was the Ryzen 5000, so when it came out, it was way better than the competition, like compared to Intel. And then what happened was that Intel released their Alder Lake, which again was
Oh,
vastly undercut the price of the Ryzen, and it started a massive price war between the two. So yeah, this is Ryzen's shot at dethroning Intel. So
so let's go through what we can expect. So the launch, well, they're going to be announcing it on Monday. So this podcast comes out on, well, this is Saturday. So just in about a day, almost 2 days. So what do we expect from the specs? What are the specs looking like for Ryzen 7000?
so the it's rumored to hit around a 5.7 gigahertz peak, right, from the four Zen processors that it has, and they actually they showed a demo of it hitting 5.5, so which is pretty cool, and the peak is supposed to be 5.7. So it also has up to 16 cores and 32 threads,
Oh, wow.
but
Oh,
it
wow.
only supports DDR5 memory controllers. So yeah, I mean
Oh,
the the new processors, the new Zen processors, you can expect a 8 to 10% IPC gain with them, and yeah, I mean you can expect it to cost more than the Intel Alder Lake processor because of the improvements and things like that. So I expect to pay around $50 to $100 more than the Intel based on your specification, of course.
I mean, to be fair, we don't know what Intel's planning to launch, right? We know that their 13th gen Raptor Lake is coming soon, but we don't know if they're going to launch it now or at CES 2023, which, by the way, is in January. For Govind, you may not know that. But CES is like where companies show off cool stuff, and half of the stuff doesn't actually turn out, but Intel will launch its stuff there. What does this translate to? To be fair, it does translate to it's something that AMD has been doing for a while, multi-core performance, where it translates to much better multi-core performance rather, where you have applications like video editing or I don't know, code compilation and things like that, which require multiple cores to actually function better. Though I still don't think AMD is going to win the single core war against Intel, especially given the advancements Intel made with Alder Lake. In terms of that, and the advancements that they're rumored to make with Raptor Lake. Now, DDR5, that is going to be a problem, right? Because considering that DDR4 is in my laptop, my Vivo book that I recently bought, even though it contains a last gen AMD mobile processor, it has DDR4 RAM, and so multiple builds, because these are desktop CPUs. So multiple desktop builds that are trying to go slightly budget are not going to be able to use DDR4 RAM, and that's just gonna shoot up the cost. Actually, Govin, if you ever buy a new laptop and if you're going Windows, you should actually just consider getting AMD. You edit videos for TWP, right? So you
Yeah.
probably might be helpful.
So maybe I can consider them. And also another point about the new core, right? So the
Right.
memory bandwidth per core is up by 125%.
Oh wow, that is a massive
Yeah, it's a massive
increase, I shall
improvement.
say. That is,
So
uh, especially considering how AMD's memory bandwidth have has always been good. That's some next generation stuff. And you have to remember, guys, that AMD generally is it's at a disadvantage compared to Intel, because Intel launches new generation processors every single year for desktop, but AMD actually launches new generation processors every 2 years for desktop. So 5000 series, well, if you consider 7000 series to be the ones that's coming out at the end of 2022 slash 2023, 5000 series came out early 2021. So AMD actually has a disadvantage because Intel got in their Alder Lake, which is not the direct competitor to the 5000 series, because Intel even launched 11th gen in 2021, which is Tiger Lake. That was the direct sort of answer to 5000 series. But Alder Lake gave Intel the chance to sort of step up, and boy, did they step up with Alder Lake. As Govind mentioned, Alder Lake was like really, really high. Uh, Also, you got to remember that actually, I don't know if you know this, but AMD generally is known for their mobile processors. So, because their process dies, they're actually smaller than Intel's. Intel uses 10 nanometer and AMD uses 7 nanometer dies, so they can actually fit in better efficiency. That's why AMD laptops get like better battery life generally compared to Intel.
and
Um,
actually, this new Ryzen 3 is 7000 is supposed to have around 5 to 6 nanometers, so it's going to be even smaller.
oh wow, okay, this is something I did not know. 5 nanometer on, especially on desktop, means like TDPs, total power draws, uh, of like much less, but which is it's just very useful considering that power is efficiency is becoming a problem with desktop chips. You're requiring to draw more and more power, especially with the GPU. It's gonna be quite a bit to actually salvage. What do you think about that actually? Because especially considering you are someone who works on a laptop, in which case it is power is something like power efficiency is something that you require a lot. You don't use a desktop at all. To be fair, even I use a laptop. What do you think about AMD going even smaller in terms of like process dies?
So I think this will be largely useful in bigger laptops with more capabilities, right? So this could be very useful because it's indeed very powerful and very small at the same time. But
Indeed, and
for
go ahead.
I don't see the application for like my laptop, such as a Mac, right?
Especially since well, Apple's now switched over to its own thing
Yeah,
with Apple Silicon. Um, but talking about GPUs, actually, that's a wonderful transit into our next topic, which is regarding Nvidia. What have we got there, Govind?
so Nvidia CEO stated in their Q2 earnings meeting with their shareholders that they are trying to clear excess inventory of their 30 series GPUs. And this is in order to launch the next gen GPU architecture, which is going to be launched at the GTC 2022 event just this September. So there are rumors stating that these GPUs are going to be the 40 series desktop cards. So what do you think?
Oh, okay. Let's see. So the 30 series cards, they've been out for 3 years now. Well, 2 years. And they're pretty good, right? My laptop, well, that's a mobile chip. Anyway, but it was honestly a bad time for Nvidia, considering that there was like supply chain issues all this while and stuff. Also, mining, like crypto mining, was a huge thing. You probably must have heard of it on like the news and stuff. Um, Crypto mining was like a huge thing, right? And so people bought GPUs, or miners bought GPUs, and this meant that like people who actually really wanted GPUs, like gamers and stuff, actually looking to build, gaming PCs, for example, didn't really have inventory to talk about, right? And GPU prices skyrocketed. You probably must have heard this. Like chip prices generally were on the high thanks to A, COVID, and B, miners. Um, so, but recently they've been coming down because the crypto crash and everything happened. And this just means that them trying to like clear out stock, like stock of GPUs, just means that prices will be even lower than they were like um, just a few months ago. Um, it's gonna mean revenue losses for Nvidia for sure, but gamers might be able to snag up like a 3080 GPU. However, I don't know. I don't know how useful that will be considering the 40 series is launching. To be fair, um, the 3080 and the 3090 and the just the general skew of 30 series GPUs that have been out are still very very good cards. And they're still forces to be reckoned with. And I would, if I was building out a gaming PC, I would still just go for a 30 series card because it's actually going way below MSRP now, meaning that it's much easier to snag one, and also meaning that the 40 series GPUs are going to be much more expensive. Um, but pretty much that's all there is to say about that. Considering that Jensen Huang, he's usually a pretty sane fellow, but and this decision makes sense. I mean, why keep too much excess inventory of 30 series when you're going to be launching the next generation of GPUs? Also, don't you just love how he just like says the next generation and not the 40 series GPUs?
Yeah,
I,
it's
I
kind of
find
funny.
it pretty. Yeah, I find it pretty like hilarious. That he's like, oh yeah, it's the next generation GPUs, basically meaning the 40 series GPUs, but like abstaining from using the name 40 series. Marketing tactic there. All right, I'm going to stop ranting about Nvidia right away, because that's pretty much all there is to say about Nvidia. Let's just move on to the next one, because we were talking about
Okay.
Apple Silicon earlier on. What have
So
we got here?
the next topic we're going to talk about is actually kind of three in one. So this is mostly about Apple's far out in quotes, um, event, which is scheduled to take place on 7th September. And they have quite a bit in store for us. So the first is the iPhone 14, and the second is the new iOS 16, and then the third is macOS Ventura. So let's talk about these things because there are a lot of exciting features and new things to cover. Right. So the iPhone 14, there are a lot of rumors going around this thing, and it's like pretty hyped. So yeah, so the most noticeable thing on the iPhone 14 is that they finally got rid of their notch design, because on previous iPhones, I think the 10 or the 8 started this one, is because on
I
the
think it was the
top.
10 when they
Yeah,
removed the home button and stuff.
yeah. So the 10 started this notch design on the top because that kind of ate into screen space a little bit, and that was supposed to house the facial recognition system and the front facing camera and stuff like that. So they finally got rid of that, but now it's kind of like floating on the screen, kind of.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
Really?
it is like so they removed the notch and then they brought it down a little bit. So it's like a horizontal cylinder and a circle next to that for the
That's
camera and the facial
so
recognition technology.
that's so weird. Okay, what do you think about the notch? I mean, because I know you don't use an iPhone, but I know you have like people who have like iPhones with a notch. Did you ever like, if you've ever used one, even in passing, did you ever find it like a bother?
So actually, the Pixel which I use also has a notch, and I would say it's actually bigger than
Oh,
the one on the iPhone because it has two cameras. My
yours is the one with like the crazy like the water drop kind of a thing, right?
exactly, yeah.
Oh
So it's a
God.
pretty big notch, but I don't see it eating up into screen space a lot because I have the XL. So if you buy like the Pro Max or the bigger version of the iPhone 14, then I don't think screen space is going to be an issue. But we'll see how big the dimensions are, especially for the base models.
This is so weird. Like the floating things. I mean, to be fair, like knowing Apple, this is the sort of like crazy, like over-engineered solution that Apple would come up with, right? They're like, yeah, we're gonna get rid of the notch, but you know what? We'll put like weird floaty things on the
Yeah,
screen.
there's actually like screen space above that, so it's pretty cool stuff actually. So it may actually eat into more screen space compared to the previous generation, especially on the base models, right? Like I said. So
Right.
yeah.
That's actually true. I mean, considering what are you gonna put up there? Like, it's gonna be so weird because you're gonna have like your status bar up there, right,
Hmm.
on the top, and
Yeah.
you're gonna have this weird thing on the screen,
Hmm.
like between your status bar and like the rest of your content. That's just like massive,
Yeah.
and the notch is just like a thing, but this is actually going to be like shape visual representation. So I can't see, but the way I imagine it, I'm like the notch is something that it'll just go into your peripheral vision after like a little bit of time.
Hmm.
um but this, because it's like shaped and stuff, you can't actually get rid of you can't unsee it, you're gonna see it.
Yeah. But I.
Correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know, I can't. This is an area of not this is not an area of my expertise, so.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, that's actually gonna do. That's gonna be. Uh, I
It's
mean,
gonna
these
be
are
interesting.
rumors, so we'll have to see how it'll come out.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. So the other thing is that in terms of design, they may actually adopt a retro design because it may
Oh,
be inspired by the iPhone 4, which was
wait, didn't they already do this?
I don't know. I mean, like it's supposedly retro, but we don't know yet.
I mean, to be fair, the iPhone 12 and iPhone 13 have like the look of the iPhone 4. They're like boxy. Um,
Yeah, I
if
mean,
you've seen those are like the squared off edges and
uh-huh.
stuff.
But I don't know how this thing is
Uh,
going to look. So
yeah, this is gonna be weird. This is what do they mean by retro? Interesting. Okay.
also on the topic of design, right? They are ditching the stainless steel,
No,
which the
no,
iPhone
no, no.
13
Okay, wait.
was
Okay,
and 12 and from the previous generations
I'll
were made of, and they're switching to titanium. So it's obviously
oh,
going to be a much lighter phone.
okay. I have a hot take coming in here.
Okay, okay. Before that, I wanna kind of fire you up as well. They may actually ditch the iPhone Mini because the iPhone Mini in the previous generations apparently did not sell up to Apple standards. So they might be completely eliminating that. So what's
Oh
your
God.
hot take on this? I'd love to know.
My God. You know what? Okay, wait. I'm gonna reach for this. Hold on. I need to keep this in my hand while. Give me a second. I need to keep this in my hand while I'm talking about this,
Okay,
right?
so when we talk
Because,
about the when we talk about the design first, the stainless steel or the
oh
titanium
God, yeah.
rather versus
Which is
stainless steel.
which is exactly why I grabbed this phone, right? Look, I get their point of, oh yeah, we're gonna go titanium, phone's gonna be lighter. Why? Because I don't know if you know, but if you've ever seen an iPhone 4, you've probably seen an iPhone 4.
Yeah.
The iPhone 4 is where the stainless steel trend started.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you know, I don't know if you think the same, but the iPhone 4 is one of the most beautiful looking phones.
Yeah, it
That
is.
thing, like even today, I hold this phone, I'm like, oh yeah, that's a relic, man. That looks good,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the thing about the iPhone 4, I don't know if you agree, but the thing about the iPhone 4 that made it like so good, apart from like the glass on both sides, was the stainless steel band,
But I guess don't you have
right?
to keep keep making improvements, right? And we don't exactly know if it's going to be better or worse until we actually feel it, right? Until we actually
Yeah,
like
but
place it
like,
in our hands.
yeah, that's true. But like, as someone who's used the iPhone 4 for like and as someone who's just liked stainless, my watch is stainless steel, right? Or at least it used to. And so, as someone who likes stainless steel, or as someone who just has used stainless steel products,
Hmm.
I can tell you right away that stainless steel is a metal. A has like it looks better than like something like a titanium thing,
Uh-huh.
and B, it just has better longevity in terms of optical quality. And I don't know if you agree, but no one is gonna mind like 5% weight increase on like their phone, right? I mean, we already have massive batteries in our phone,
Hmm.
right? And they tried making it lighter with aluminum, and I don't know if you know, but aluminum is A, it doesn't look as good,
Yeah.
um, and B, it bends. And you may have heard of bend gate in iPhone 6, where phones would just start bending, like because it was made out of aluminum that was not so
Right.
reinforced, phones would just start bending out of nowhere.
Hmm.
So no, Apple. If Apple does this, I'm gonna be super pissed. Like, I'm gonna be peed off, right?
Okay.
I
Okay.
mean, I get their point. I get their
Yeah.
point. You want to make the phone lighter. You want to
Hmm.
make the phone, easier to carry. You wanna be prosumer, but being prosumer doesn't really work if you don't consider optical quality, especially comparing, especially when you talk about a company like Apple, which is known for like their look, their design,
Yeah.
right? And they're key to, like, high quality materials. Titanium is a high quality material. It just doesn't look that great. It doesn't feel that great. I mean, to be fair, if Apple does it, they're probably going to keep that in mind. And we're probably going to see like them doing something to the metal to like make it feel good and stuff. They're known for that, but like, still, I am not happy
Right,
about
but
this.
don't you think that I believe the Apple Watch and some of their other products are already titanium, so it would kind of make sense that
Oh, really?
I think
No, I
so.
think the Apple Watch is stainless steel. Can
I
you
don't know
check that
because
up, actually? I'm not gonna check it up because I'm gonna have speech going through this mixer. But is the Apple Watch
oh yeah, it
titanium?
is. The stainless steel is $100 lower than the starting price of the titanium model, so it's like a whole watch lower.
Oh,
Uh,
you know what? I have to go. I have to go to an Apple store and actually feel this watch one day.
yeah, because like if their I think their AirPods are also titanium, like the newest ones. I don't know. I'm not
Oh
completely
yeah. Oh
sure
no,
about
no,
it,
no.
but yeah, I mean, it would kind of make sense that their I guess most popular product would eventually
That's a
adopt that
fair.
material.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. All right, all right. I take my hot take back slightly.
Okay,
I'm still not convinced, but
let's move
we'll have
on
to
to
see how
the
the iPhone
iPhone
works.
Mini. So there are rumors that
Oh,
it
this
actually
this I certainly have a this I certainly have hot take. And hold on, I have to make sure my iPhone 4 is in my hand for this. Okay, okay. The mini Apple. Look, I'm someone with. I don't know if you agree, but I have relatively big hands.
man, this is gonna be fun. Oh my god! When
Oh
when, when
god.
Pranav starts off like when he says it's gonna be like
Oh
it's
god.
gonna be long.
Okay.
Okay, so stay.
Okay. Okay.
So let's get through this.
Hot
Okay,
take
go on.
coming. Okay. You know that I have big hands.
Yes, you do.
But you also know that phones had started out to be small. Like,
Mhm.
they're pocketable, right? Right? And
Right.
and and what is not okay, first of all, what is not sold well for Apple? It does. Apple still, I know for a fact that Apple still made a profit on those phones, like the mini phones.
Right.
It didn't sell well, but they made a profit on it, right? Which
But
means that people like it somewhat.
yeah,
And and
sure.
and look, Apple, I don't get it, man. Apple kept the iPod for like 21 years, despite not making sales on them. They kept producing them and selling them. And if they could do that, I don't get why they want to like ditch the mini phone. Because,
See,
to be fair, go ahead. Sorry.
listen, the it would kind of make sense though because if they do not sell up to Apple's standards, right? Chances are
Oh
obviously
yeah.
for better profit and for them to devote more, I guess, resources, time, attention towards developing like bigger phones. which is pretty much what people want these days, right? They want bigger screens, they want more screen space, they want more functions on their phone. So they basically want it as a portable lap. I mean, like a smaller, like a mini pocketable laptop, as it, right? Because they want the same functions as a laptop on their phone, right? So they obviously need bigger screen space. So it would make sense that, if the mini wasn't selling, when then they would devote more resources towards making the regular sized iPhone, I guess, better and more powerful.
I mean, fair. That's a fair point. But like, also consider that their iPhones are so powerful that no, if they accidentally drop like 2 or 3% in power, no one's really gonna care. And there is a market that I fall into this, right. There is a market for these smaller phones.
Hmm.
It's clearly there. Like the people with small hands, they love these. I still go back to the iPhone 4, or like, for my primary phone is just like a phone with a 5.5 inch screen. It's tiny compared to like today's phones,
And
right?
I actually completely agree. Like, I'm one of those kind of people who likes smaller phones, but you can't really argue with sort of Apple's
Apple.
decision, because it's a decision of business, right?
Fair point, fair point. But like God, I still I still want to slap wrists at Apple for this.
Okay, so let's move on, because speaking
Yeah.
of performance, they might actually introduce the new A16 chip, which is very
Oh,
exciting.
that's fun.
And
This might be fun.
most of the stuff now you probably won't disagree with, except one, which I'm going to get to later. Uh,
This is
I think
fun.
you probably already know what it is, but let's go on to storage. So storage is a massive deal in this iPhone, right? So according to Apple, it's the most storage an iPhone has ever had, and it's
Okay.
supposedly around 2 terabytes of storage, which is
Okay, look,
unbelievable,
I
unbelievable
don't.
amount of storage.
It is mad. It's crazy. But I don't disagree with Apple here, in terms of adding so much. I mean, I know there are people, especially people like you and me. We would be like, why would you have like 2 terabytes of storage on an iPhone? Who would buy that, right?
Mhm.
But I don't disagree, because especially considering that Apple added like ProRes video last year to their
Yeah.
iPhones, which it hogs up storage.
Hmm.
And considering that so many I record YouTube videos using a phone.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
like, even like you said, right? The ProRes might take up storage, right? Because of the high quality. Now Apple might
exactly.
introduce 8K video, which will take up even more storage. So, which is,
Oh my god.
I can understand the
Yeah.
decision to do 2 terabytes of storage.
I'm just surprised that Apple one upped themselves last year
Yeah.
by putting 1 terabyte of storage on their phones.
Uh huh.
And then suddenly I'm just surprised that, because Apple is a company, between making such decisions, they take quite a bit of time. They take like 2 3 years. I'm
Yeah.
just surprised that Apple's made this decision so quick, or at least it's rumored that they're gonna make it so quick.
Hmm.
If they do that though, if they do that, and if I actually want to buy an iPhone 14, and if I can get an iPhone 14 Pro Max or
Right.
something, I'm so gonna go for the 2 terabyte version.
It'll probably be very
Just
expensive. So,
Oh my god, it's gonna run my pockets dry or something. I don't know. Um,
especially because the last
I might
last
not.
iPhone, the iPhone 13, right? The highest, the most expensive version was around $1,600 or $1,700. That
Yeah,
was one terabyte.
that's
So this is obviously
that's
going to
how
be
much I paid. That's how
this
much
is
I paid
obviously
for
going
my
to be
laptop.
closer, if not past the $2,000 mark, which is an unbelievable figure for a phone.
It's massive. I mean, there is a market for it. As I said, there's like
There is a market
YouTubers
for
and
it, but
content
it
creators.
still doesn't like take away from the fact that that is an unbelievable price for a phone, like
It
unbelievably
is, it
expensive.
is, and I mean, I don't expect 99% of Apple customers to pay something even close to that.
Mhm.
There's just like, those content creators, YouTubers. I know quite a few YouTubers who are now actually filming, like big YouTubers, MKBHD and stuff. MKBHD launched a channel called Autofocus, and that's just based on phones. Like, I mean, in terms of, it's based on cars, but they're recording their videos on phones. So that might be something that they might invest in, for example. But like, yeah, I don't. I don't disagree with Apple. If they're going 8K and if they're going ProRes,
Hmm.
I if it's good, the quality of their video is good, which on iPhones it's amazing. Like iPhones are just like so ahead of Androids in terms of video quality. Um, I would honestly be fine with if I was actually buying one, paying 2 terabytes for something like that.
Hmm. So also there's, I mean, along with the storage, the battery life is supposed to be dramatically improved. So because
Oh,
8K video will obviously take um,
oh
you know,
yeah.
a lot of battery.
Now
So
here's an interesting thing because the iPhone 13 Pro Max
mhm,
already improved on battery. Again, it's going back to Apple's thing of like not doing what they usually do with incremental updates.
mhm.
And now they're just like one upping themselves continuously. So that's going to be interesting to see.
Right. I mean, yeah, that is going to be pretty interesting to see. Also, speaking of video, right? I was talking about that 8K video. There are a lot of new things um, uh, about the camera, right? So there might be a new lens, right? So
Oh,
obviously it's up to, I think, 50 times more, not 50 times more zoom, 50 times zoom, I guess. So
okay.
so yeah, that is insane. So,
Who
but
uses that much Zoom?
I don't
Who
know,
who
but
does?
it's nice to have. It's like if might as well live in a cave if you judge life based on needs and not wants, right?
Fair point. It would be a fun toy to play with. I mean, at the
But
very least.
this may not arrive till the iPhone 15, so that's
We'll have
wait
to
a
wait
whole
for
another
that.
year for that. So
That's true.
also, the front camera is receiving an update. So I think it has like a almost like a portrait mode on selfies. I'm not really 100% sure.
Oh.
So basically, the people who love taking selfies will really enjoy this mode. So
Oh.
it'll be very interesting.
But I mean, I don't get it. Don't you also take selfies to like show what's in the background?
I don't know. I
You
mean, like
know,
I guess portrait mode is obviously nice to have. So I'm not really going to
yeah,
complain. So
it's gonna be a fun. Honestly, I love the background blur that portrait creates, and Apple's just Apple's just so good with portrait mode.
mhm.
So if this comes, I'm expecting it to be good, like really good.
Also, one thing that has bugged me, and I'm
Oh, let's
sure
see this.
will get you really annoyed, is that they are not transitioning to USB-C.
Not again.
So I believe that is going to come out in the iPhone 15, the USB-C port. So we are
Oh
stuck with
my god.
Lightning, but I guess they
No.
may be
Oh
updates to
god.
the Lightning. So I guess it
I don't
charge.
care about updates to the Lightning. Just everything else that Apple makes
Honestly, the
is
iPad, even the iPad has the USB-C now, right?
even the iPad has transitioned. Okay, the iPad used to have. And I can prove this. I don't have it right now. It's in the other room, but I have an iPad with a Lightning port on it. The iPad transitioned from Lightning to USB-C. Why? Just why can't Apple just do it? Like I know that they're probably like worried about you know their lightning accessories not really
I
being
mean, I guess, yeah, I guess because they do have a lot of Lightning accessories, right? I'm sure like they don't want to make it completely
yeah but like
obsolete. And I guess,
but like they took no I'm more worried about their customers actually giving them faff for like their lightning accessories not working with but like how many lightning accessories do you keep
I mean, I
a
think also, the I don't know if it's very difficult to re-engineer the Lightning to be a USB C port because I don't know a lot about the technical like internals about
no
of the iPhone, so I don't know if it'll be like it's very difficult to engineer or might be
no
easier.
they'll have to basically just swap the lightning port for a USB-C port.
Mhm.
Just change up the entire port, which honestly I would be cool with. If it takes what a year to transition from like Lightning accessories to USB-C accessories, it's it's easier than the transition that Apple's making from Intel to like their own processors, right?
And I think
And
it's
if
easy
they're
because
like
like with one charger you can charge your Mac, you can charge your iPad, you can charge your iPhone. So it's just way easier
exactly
than like you can have multiple chargers just around the house, and you don't have to go find, like, search for a lighting. You can just use the same charger for everything, so which is pretty cool.
I mean, considering that Apple talks, well, Apple's ecosystem is so good. This is like the ironic like kink in Apple's armor, because it's like, yeah, their ecosystem is wonderful, but you know what? I probably won't buy an iPhone because it has a Lightning port,
Mhm.
and I cannot do the simplest thing that I should be able to do that every single other ecosystem can do.
Yeah,
Um,
makes sense.
it's kind of stupid.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not that surprised given that Apple has just refused to do it for like so long already. So I'm like, okay, not
The,
again. Oh, fine.
Also, one more thing before we move on to our next topic, which is the new iOS 16, is that they might introduce Touch ID back. So obviously, this is going to be not in the form of a home button, but it's going to be digitally, like we've seen in some, I believe, Samsung products, where you just, or it may be on the back of the phone, such as the Pixel. But I think it's
Pixel.
going to be digital on the screen itself.
I am just smiling right now because if this happens, I'll just be so. I have never liked face recognition that much.
Because
Um,
if you have a mask, then it won't work. Like, sunglasses, I think, do work, but, like, if you have, like, facial accessories, right? Like, let's say, like, I don't know, you have like a cap and a mask, and, like, various other things on your face.
Headphones, dude.
Headphones,
Headphones.
sure. Then I guess if you're then it won't be able to recognize you 100% of the time, which is pretty annoying. So.
I mean, I face this problem. My laptop has Windows Hello facial recognition, and I cannot log into my laptop when I'm wearing headphones just because it doesn't recognize well. I could not for a while, and I was bugged out by why, and then I had to like actually register my headphone face as a different face. It's
Mhm.
stupid. So
So
if they do that, I would just be happy. I'm like, yeah, just give people choice. God damn it.
So iOS 16, let's move on, okay? Because
Oh, this is
I
gonna be
think we
fun.
spent a lot of time on the iPhone 14. So iOS 16, there are a lot of exciting new updates here. So let me just go through them, and then, Pranav, I can you can give your take. So the first and the most, like, in my opinion, amazing thing, right? Um, is the new lock screen. Finally, Apple has introduced customizable lock screens where you can customize the font. You have, like, more choices between adaptive, like, between day and night backgrounds, and you have widgets on the lock screen, so you have quick access to everything, right? So the whole team, I feel like, behind the iPhone, I mean, not iPhone, excuse me, iOS 16 is for everything to be accessible at your fingertips, right? So without you unlocking the phone, without you, like, turning on and then, like, entering your password and then checking your notifications and stuff like that, it's just on the phone right there. So you can just take one quick glance at your phone, and you know everything that's there. So here you can see news, weather, all that kind of thing. And it also has what I believe is a live score tracking. So it has live activity. So if you have, like, a game going on in the background, then you can put it on your lock screen. So what you have to do is you just have to click the on button, and then you can see the score, let's say, between cricket teams, or, like, soccer teams, or whatever you might be watching. So which is really useful. So it's going to be on the bottom of the phone. So, and also the notifications are moved to the bottom of the phone, so that they don't eat up into screen space, I guess, on the top. And yeah, it's really cool. So, like I said, the theme is kind of to see everything and have access to everything with the phone locked, right? So you can see the battery percentage of your AirPods, of your Apple Pencil, or not Apple Pencil, like AirPods, or anything like that, right? um, or Apple Watch, or something like that, which is connected to your phone. So yeah, so this is really, really cool stuff. And yeah, the notifications, they actually have new interesting notifications. So basically, it's just icons on the screen, so you can easily tell what it is without having to open your phone, which is really cool. And one last thing before I get to you, Pranav, is that you can have multiple lock screen presets, right? So you can create multiple like sort of memory functions for your lock screen, and you can just quickly change between them. So which is really really cool. So yeah, this is
Oh
just a
wow.
lock screen stuff. So which is really really cool.
I'm gonna give my take here,
Mhm.
and as someone who's nuts for customization,
Yeah, finally they, because Android
oh
had this
yeah,
for
I
so
mean,
much time, and then finally they got it.
it's I'm just happy that Apple, when they did it like in the right way. Because I did get to see this at WWDC,
Mhm.
um, and I'm just happy that they did it in like the way that it should be done, and not in like a garbled mess. Um, I love the live activity thing, where you have scoring and stuff on your lock screen. That to me, if I was using an iPhone, would be so useful because then I
Mhm.
could just, I watch cricket a lot and I could
Yeah,
just like check my cricket. I don't have to open up an app to actually see that.
yeah.
And widgets. Also, the fact that notifications are at the bottom, as someone who again prefers either smaller screens and stuff,
Hmm.
that is so much more useful because all I have to do is I don't have to like do wrist gymnastics to like
Yeah.
figure out where my
And
what need to read a goddamn notification. So
speaking of
the
like
lock screen.
this
Yeah, go ahead.
gymnastics and all these accessible things we are talking about, this actually has a really 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 cool feature, Pranav, which you will really like. So I'm going to get to that after you finish, and we talk. We're going to get to that
Oh
later.
no, I'm
We're going to get to that
yeah,
later.
I'm just done with
Very
my
very
take.
exciting.
It's amazing. Yeah.
So the other thing is that messages has a new update, so you can finally edit messages, which is really cool. In the past, I don't think
Useful.
you've been able to, which is finally this is
Considering how
great
many
update.
people use iMessage, considering
Yeah,
how
I
many
know.
people use
So I message,
iMessage,
hmm,
it's
huge.
it's really it's
If
very
you
useful
also have
update.
a if you also have a voice message, it can do live captions for that, which is really cool. And also
Oh nice.
another thing which is really cool, they have this thing called share play, which you can see you're watching a movie, you can send it kind of on your group chat or whatever, and then people can join in and you can watch the movie like online at the same time.
It's been there in FaceTime, to be fair.
Uh-huh.
FaceTime had it from what was it, last year.
Yeah.
FaceTime had it from last year. But I'm just happy it's in messages too, because not everyone just wants to get on a FaceTime call all the time.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm just happy you can actually text and like do this. It's really cool because Netflix had this for like a long time, and we're just going hello.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah, so it
Any
also
more
has like
there?
a focus mode. So this is like again back to the lock screen and things like that. I think it's more about like work versus personal, like kind of distinguishing the work, the environments between the two. So you have different presets and things like that. So I don't know too much about it, but I guess we'll get to that later.
Could be useful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have Apple Pay, Wallet, Home dictation updates. No one cares about Apple Maps. Uh, yeah, nobody does, honestly.
No one
Just
does. Like,
use Google Maps
even
or
when you
Waze.
use an iPhone,
Just
I swear,
yeah.
Waze or Google Maps, that's like the first thing that you install. Like, no.
I know, right? So also it has new child accounts management, so you can easily, I guess it's easier to manage. You have a child or some sort. Then you can,
Okay.
I guess, place restrictions on their account and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. Uh,
I mean, this should have been added like 10 years ago. I don't know why they
Honestly,
didn't,
yeah,
but
but
whatever.
at least they're adding it now. So
Yeah.
it has new generation of Apple CarPlay, which is really exciting because this is the one where you plug in your phone to your car, and there's a wire. It can be wireless, and then on
Right.
your display on your screen, it shows some of your apps, and you can play Spotify through that. You can look at Google Maps and stuff like that, so you don't have to use the car's inbuilt stuff like that. So it's really really simple and really easy. So it's a new generation, which is really exciting because I've seen the way Apple CarPlay works in my mom's car, and it's pretty cool. But new generation is
It's
super exciting as well.
I have heard that the new generation also includes like Apple working with car companies to actually integrate CarPlay as like rather than you having to mirror your phone, it
Mhm.
actually integrates CarPlay into the actual native software of the car.
That honestly,
Um,
that'll be a game changer.
because I mean, car software kind of sucks, right? It's like garbage.
Yeah, it's not as good as phone software for sure.
No, not at all, and it's really hard to navigate. So, CarPlay just makes things much easier.
Hmm. And also, Apple has over-the-air security updates, which is pretty cool. And also,
Oh, that's useful.
you can control your Apple Watch from the iPhone, which is a first actually. So, control a couple of
That's a
head
nice thing.
motions through your iPhone.
I mean, why would you do that? But still,
I
very
don't know why you would
nice.
do that, but it's there.
Yeah.
So actually, on
Eh,
I'm going to move on to the accessibility topic of this because there are a lot of useful features here, which Pranav you
oh,
might
I'm
like,
excited.
right? So
Yeah.
first is the subject identification. So this is not really a theme in accessibility, but like in photos and
Oh,
stuff,
I
if
like
you
this.
have like a dog or like a person, it'll be able to identify that if you can cut the thing out, right? It's kind of like magic eraser, but like it identifies the subject, so it'll be able to identify people, it'll be able to identify dogs and other things like that, which is really cool from photos, and not just
And I
live, but
think you
like in
can,
previous photos, it'll be able to identify that. Yeah, which is pretty cool.
I
Also,
think you can like cut it and like paste it in other programs, right?
yeah, you're right. Like any editing software
That's,
or something like that.
I mean, imagine the number of like Discord stickers that could be made out of this.
Yeah, that would be
That would
a
be
lot.
fun.
Also,
Yeah.
it has uh, yeah. So speaking of subject identification, it what was I going to talk about? I do not remember.
I know that it does it for video as well, I
Does
think.
it? Okay. So
Yeah, it started to do it for video. Like if you pause
uh,
it on a video frame, apparently it
yeah,
like does it there as well.
right. That's pretty cool. So yeah, also
That's
what I was
useful.
gonna move on. So let's say you're I guess walking on the street, right? And you see like a shop and the shop is closed. Or this is a really obscure example. I'm sure someone can come up with a better situation for this. Um so basically you see like the contact information and stuff like that on like a piece of paper, right? Even like a piece of paper, if you see contact information, you want to save that contact. Usually what you would do is you would go into your like phone app and then create new contact and then enter the number, and then you have to make sure it's like the right number and stuff like that. But this it's like kind of like QR code scanning where you just point your camera towards it and it identifies the phone number, and then from there you have the option to create a new contact, so you can automatically do that, which is unbelievably um, great.
That's That's so useful because I mean, imagine the number of times like someone like every time I get a business card, I was
Mhm.
like, oh yeah, I have to go and like scan the business card into an image and try to get the number out of it,
Mhm.
and it's all a mess. This makes it so much because I never use the physical. No one used the physical card, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
think about it. Even for a store or even if you get a business card, no one uses the physical card.
Uh-huh.
So ultimately, that's just gonna go into biodegradable waste. Um,
So
so this just makes it easier.
also it has currency recognition. That's what
That's
I like to
useful.
call it. So basically, like if you're in a different country and there's a currency which you don't know how much it translates to your like native currency, I guess you just point your camera at it, it'll recognize it, and it'll automatically convert to the currency of wherever you're from. So that's great.
Oh, that's a useful feature
Very
for like
useful.
people who travel a lot.
Also, probably the most useful feature, Pranav, for you especially is something called door detection.
Oh, okay.
Basically, like you obviously you use a cane to figure out where things are, right? But like if you
Right.
just point your camera, it'll be able to identify doors from a certain set amount of distance, and it'll be able to tell you how to open it, so whether it's by like handle knob or I don't know, something like that.
Oh my god. Oh my god. That's so useful because the number of times I bump into a door or like
Exactly,
I reach a
exactly.
door and then I spend like 2 minutes trying to identify where the
Hmm.
knob is or like how to open the door. This is a useful feature.
Yeah.
That is, it can be a lifesaver, man. Not a lifesaver, but like it can basically just be such a time saver, like
Hmm.
for productivity
For
and
sure,
stuff.
for sure. And also, like the most important thing about iOS 16 is that it's only compatible. It's only compatible with iPhone not C SE, iPhone 8 and up. So if you have an iPhone 7,
Ooh,
then you're out of luck.
yeah, you're out of luck. I mean, to be fair, they supported the iPhone 7 like they do for most phones for like 5 years. So
Hmm.
it had a good run,
Yeah.
but rip iPhone 7.
Also, moving on
It's
to
gone.
the Mac side of things, Mac is more exciting things about Mac OS Ventura. So, first thing you actually talked about was using iPhone camera as Mac webcam. So, we all know
Oh,
that. So, first of all, we all know that webcams suck. Just like I'm gonna say it right here. Webcams do suck. Like it doesn't matter whether which computer on, especially Mac webcams really do suck a lot.
fun fact is until like very recently,
Hmm.
Apple was using for their webcams the same camera that they used the same webcam sensor for like 10 years
Dude,
because
honestly,
the webcam that was in
the
the
Mac webcam is really bad. It's really bad. FaceTime camera.
it's terrible. Yeah,
And
that 720p like low res grainy FaceTime cam,
and
it was terrible.
and now you can finally use your iPhone camera as the Mac webcam. So this is
Which makes
really useful. So
sense,
you
right?
have an option, right? So you can either choose this is going to be like a mini drop down where you can choose like FaceTime built-in HD camera, whatever Mac users will know this, and then you can choose between your iPhone or your Mac, which is really cool.
Which makes sense, right?
Hmm.
I mean, because like the iPhone's cameras are just so much better.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And this entire thing just reinforces that the point that I was making earlier
Mhm.
about how good the Apple ecosystem is.
Yeah.
I try to do this. I mean, you can do this with like Windows and Android, but it takes like a good 10 minutes to set up and it's laggy.
Yeah.
So this just makes sense.
Mhm. Yeah. It does. Like it makes it's a really useful feature. So also
It is.
there are a lot of new updates about the webcams and cameras in macOS Ventura. So let me run through a couple of the main ones, right? So the first one is Studio Light. So it's like it's kind of like a portrait mode, but it's sort of like a studio mode. So if you were to take a picture in the studio, then that's how it would appear around the subject. So it is pretty cool.
Oh,
It's a new
nice.
mode. There's also a desk view overhead camera, which is really cool. So it kind of shows your desk from a top-down view almost, which is really cool. This can be useful for like showing your setup or like if you're a gamer, right? So you can show um, your key movements or whatever. You won't be using
Oh,
Mac, but like get what I mean. You'll be able to record your keyboard and where your hands are going is. So which keys
that's
you're
a cool
pressing at
thing.
what time. And so yeah, and also there's a thing called center stage. So this is like I think Google or something had this feature before where as you move around the camera will also move with you.
Apple had it
Did they?
for a long time
Oh,
in
okay.
FaceTime.
I,
It it's cool that they got it here because it's so useful because yeah, you accidentally move out of the frame or something.
Mhm.
It's so useful.
Yeah. And also it has speaking of FaceTime actually, it has the ability to move FaceTime calls to another device. Let's say you're getting a call from a
Oh,
laptop, you can move it to your phone. So you can take it from your phone.
oh my God, that's so useful. Considering, I mean, I can imagine this, man. Like you're sitting at your desk and you gotta go somewhere. Like you gotta go out, but you gotta carry that FaceTime call with you.
Hmm.
That's just that saves you a hot minute right there.
Hmm. Yeah.
That is so useful.
For sure. and it also has new updates to Spotlight search. So it's basically sharper. It's got a new layout, and it also has image search. So you can like search for like particular subjects in images, like a dog or a car or something like that, and you'll be able to identify from all the photos you have, which is pretty cool. It also
Oh,
has
that's useful.
freeform, which is kind of like a blank canvas almost, where you can like sort of note down ideas and collaborate with other people on. So it's like a drawing
Google
board
Collab,
almost.
Google Whiteboard, and Google Jamboard, whatever you call it.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess finally Apple's it's like almost classic Apple really.
To be fair, yeah,
They come out
they
with
like
something. They come out with something like 3 years after Google did it, but they do it way better than they did. So Google did.
fair point. Yeah.
It's like classic. So that pretty much wraps up our topics for the day. So now let's
Oh,
move.
that was the Apple one was an exhaustive list.
Yeah, there are a lot of new
Um,
things on the iPhone stuff. So that pretty much
yep.
wraps it up. So now
All
it's
right.
kind of Q&A time. So we got a couple of questions
Oh,
from the
fun.
audience, from you guys, and I'm gonna ask them to Pranav. So the first question is: do you think new flagships hold their value better than either old flagships or newer budget offerings in terms of phones and laptops?
Oh, okay. Let's look at this. Newer laptops, sort of, yes. Depends on what you're doing. I would say for like pro users, newer laptops, yes, especially considering Intel's like 12th gen processors because they're just so much better than last year.
Mhm.
In terms of budget, it depends. If you're a gamer, you can actually get something pretty decent for a budget, with like Acer's Nitro and stuff. If you're a Mac user, budget basically means $1,000. But
Budget isn't in
if
uh, Apple users' vocabulary. What budget is, but
yeah, for Apple users, it's how flagship do you want to go?
so expensive, man.
I swear, it's ludicrous. Anyway, if you're a work like a professional who just writes and needs like scripts and stuff, then yeah, you can actually go for a budget laptop because all you need is like a good amount of RAM and like a decent CPU. But if you're anywhere like a creative professional, like a video editor, you may know this going because you use a MacBook Air 2019, which is it's a good laptop, but it's not that powerful, right? And if you do video editing for even like the Tech with Phoenix channel, which we don't edit our videos that much, we make it concise, but and we add like fun stuff here and there, but we don't do like the crazy levels of color grading that other channels do. Um, and even for that, I have heard you. Well, I'll let you take your take on your laptop. Uh, but
Yeah, my
but
laptop
yeah,
is something else.
that's a fun one. Anyway,
Actually, speaking
yeah,
of
go ahead.
laptops, let's move on to our second question, which is how much storage do you think we should buy for a laptop, or how much do you think a laptop, especially in today's day and age, this day and age, should have?
Oh, this is okay. Depends. If you're on a budget, I think you can get away with 256 gigs of storage.
So how much is
Um,
budget, like price wise?
I don't know, anywhere under at least 700, $800.
Okay.
Um, but if you're anywhere above, like more than that, you gotta go 512 minimum, man. I mean, you know as well as I do. You video edit, man, you struggle with like 128 gig. 128 gigs of storage is just not acceptable on a laptop. It's
It
not
is not
acceptable.
acceptable, and also like for Mac, I think you need more because like you have like a lot of compared to Mac. Actually, Windows has a lot more storage,
Agreed.
right?
Agreed.
And also like in Mac, right? There's another like other. There's like a system, and then there's an other, and like like things like iMovie and GarageBand kind of download all their assets into the computer itself. So you have like giant libraries for those things. So you need a lot of
Yeah.
to, uh,
And just generally, if you're gaming, like you,
yeah.
because games are huge, like hundreds of gigs, you need a lot of storage. So if you're
Mhm.
gaming, just go with 1 terabyte. Also, it depends on what type of storage. For example, you don't want to go with like a hard drive for like your main storage device today, because those are just so slow. I mean, you can get SSDs for like really cheap. And I would rather have 512 gigs of SSD storage than 1 terabyte of hard disk. In fact, I have a laptop here that I was using. That was my previous daily driver. Govind, you got to see it when you came here. That Dell Inspiron crap machine.
Oh yeah,
Um,
3576. What?
yeah, the 3576 that never actually powered on when we were trying to use it.
Yeah,
Oh no,
that
it
was
did.
an
Never
interesting
mind.
one.
Yeah, and that had a hard drive. So I'd rather use like my current laptop, which is 512 gigs of SSD storage.
Mhm.
I'd rather use an SSD than a hard drive, right? And so, uh, if you're on a budget, if you really don't want to spend that much, I would say even like $300 laptops are getting SSDs today. So I would say get like get a laptop with at least 256 gigs of storage, but at least that has an SSD, so it doesn't feel slow. And the hard drive is not the thing that's slowing it down. Also, it's bonus points if the SSD is upgradable later on. Like if you're able to pop off the back of the laptop and just upgrade the storage, remove the old module, and just get the new one in.
Mhm.
Most laptops let you do that, except for the Mac, because Apple does it the Apple way. Uh,
Apple is Apple.
but yeah, because Apple. Uh, so most Windows laptops let you actually upgrade the SSD,
Mhm.
and like remove it and like put another one in, and you gotta keep that in mind.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move on to our next question. Uh, so this is actually a very interesting one. So how good is Google Maps in India or other countries which kind of have similar infrastructure and road networks as India?
I mean, it's as good as it is outside India.
I
Um,
think so too, because based on experience, of course, I think it's been pretty good for the most part in India. Like, a lot of people use it and, it's improved over the years.
Yeah, and I mean it has the same features. There's nothing that's like country. Some countries have a few things where but it's completely dependent on their infrastructure. And at least in India, I can tell you it's the same. It's the same thing. You've got your walking mode. You've got like traffic indicators. You've got everything else that you have in the states. And in fact, I think even cab drivers use Google Maps so much in India these days. So, like
Yeah.
local cab drivers, the ones that are not in like Uber or something. Um,
Even Uber
so
does, but I think they use like Uber's built-in kind of.
Yeah, no, they use Google Maps too.
Yeah,
Uber uses Google Maps. It's just built into like the app, and it's like a
yeah,
little
yeah,
different. Um, but yeah, short answer, it works as well as it does in any other country.
yeah. Okay, so we have one more question. I think we can close it off. So the last question is actually very interesting. So as you know, the Nothing phone has just launched. So what do you think? I don't know when it launched. I think like a month or 2 months ago or something like that.
It's been a while. It's been like almost like 2 months now.
Yeah, yeah, a month or
It's
two
been
months
a
ago.
good while. Yeah.
Yeah. So since you haven't really given many thoughts on the Nothing phone, so the Nothing phone has like lights behind it, right? So do you think the
Right.
lights on the Nothing phone should be replicated by other phones, or do you think it's unnecessary? Also, the two parts of this question. First is the lights. The second one is generally what do you think of it? What are your thoughts on the Nothing phone? And it kind of basically looks like an iPhone. So what do you think of that?
Okay, I'm gonna start with the lights, and I'm a sucker for RGB, even though I can't see it. I'm a sucker for RGB. My headset is RGB, and I just love it. And the lights on the back of the phone aesthetically actually look really cool. Right now, though, as it stands, it just doesn't have as much potential. To be fair to Nothing, they made it in such a way that it actually just sips battery. It doesn't actually like drain battery in like a way that you might think it would,
Hmm.
which is really good that they managed to pull that off. But I don't think a company should replicate it, because I don't think companies are gonna be able to. Well, Nothing, they're not going to be able to create the charm that Nothing did, right? Because this is a budget phone. This is actually pretty cheap. It's like $300. Um, and for that price, this is a design differentiator. And if companies start doing it, they're not going to be able to do it as well as nothing, and they're just going to feel like ripoffs. But also, B, I don't think this technology right now has as much potential. I mean, it has the potential. It just is not being used as well. Like for example, I would love to see like different like notification different light patterns for like different
Mm-hmm.
notifications,
Yeah.
or if I could draw like a light pattern because there are multiple lights in different places of the back, right? I would love to see if I could like a draw a pattern on the back of my phone, or if it could like switch. You know, if I've like this got this phone in the back, if it could switch between patterns depending on different times of the day, that would look so
Mm-hmm.
sick. Um, Also, I don't know, they could link it with Teslas, for example. Different states of the car could have different lights on the thing. You could know if someone's leaning on your car or something. I don't know. Um, and then, of course, other features. Like, I would love to see something like, oh, I don't know, different call uh, patterns at the back of the phone, or
Right, right, right.
patterns depending
Depending
on
on
the
the
day,
person.
or yeah, or I don't know, something that hey, that could make a wonderful sun lamp, right? Like a not the best one, but like think about one on your phone. You could have something that
Mm-hmm.
looks cool,
Yeah.
or in accordance with like my if it could take
Mm-hmm.
out different patterns for my wallpaper and then apply it to the back and like make a complementary thing, that would look so sick. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not matured, but I think as nothing starts to matured out, it might be something that other companies might consider. But then, because it's such a differentiator for the nothing phone one, right? I don't think it's going to look good for other companies. It's not going to be a good look for the company themselves if they do it, because it's just
Mm-hmm.
going to look like a ripoff, and
Mm-hmm.
that's not going to be good. Also, now coming to
Right.
the design of the phone, look, I don't have a problem with that, because I always say if you're going to copy something, well, copy the good stuff. And I like the iPhone design, so I don't really have a problem with nothing copying, especially because these lights are there. Because these lights are there, it actually makes it like a differentiator for the phone, as I said. So them actually copying the feel of the phone is not big of like that big of a problem for me, considering that 90% of like flagship Android phones look similar, or at least feel similar, right, to each other. They're like curved and stuff. I don't really see that much of a problem with them doing it this way. Um, and it's not done in a bad way, because it still feels premium. From what I've heard, I've actually not got a chance to check it out,
Yeah.
but apparently it feels premium, and it
Mm-hmm.
it's not. It doesn't feel like those cheap knockoffs.
Right.
So, I mean, if you're copying the good stuff,
I think
don't
for a
don't don't copy Siri.
for like
Yeah,
a startup, right? For like I think, is this the first phone?
yeah. This is their first phone.
For that is actually pretty good.
It is. I mean, the value proposition is actually really
Usually
good.
like when it comes to startups and not just phones but in like different areas, right? Usually their phones kind of feel cheap, like very like sort of like a kit phone type feel. It has very like plasticky, cheap, like it can break apart any second type of feel. But I don't think that's the case with the nothing, because it seems to be making quite the buzz. Huh?
Also, consider that this is a sub $300 phone, and for that price, having this kind of
This
design is not something you see.
is sub $300.
I think it's sub 300, either sub 300 or sub 400,
Wow.
something like that. It is a cheap phone.
Let me see. I mean, it's pretty cool. Also, one last question, right? So,
Yeah.
there are a lot of new tech innovations that are going around, right? So, you have like smart homes and like not just in terms of like phones and stuff. You have tech in cars, you have tech in homes, you have tech in all these kind of different areas. Where do you think we can sort of hmm, where do you think one should be this kind of tech should be applied in? As in,
That's a that's a good idea. And I think the best place is just integration, like life integration.
mhm,
Um, and what I mean by that is linking all of these tech. So linking a
right.
smart home to a smart car, to
Mhm,
your smartphone, to your watch, um, to your oven, to I don't know, your clothing, for example, right? I
right.
mean, I would be so stoked if
Mhm,
oh my god, no, I had this I saw this product on Amazon recently. It
right.
was a smart ring that
Uh-huh.
had like fitness sensors that could track really, really precise data. Um, and so the idea is, in fact, Huawei is doing this with their Hongming OS. Also, isn't the name Hongming OS just so cool? Uh,
Yeah, that does sound pretty cool. So,
so Huawei is doing with Hongming OS, and they actually have their laptops and stuff that have come out. And so if it all comes down to integration and like making your life more, making you be able to focus more on like your productivity uh, aspect,
mhm,
I think it makes sense.
yeah,
Otherwise, if it's all fragmented, it doesn't really help you that much.
right.
So
That makes sense.
that's that.
Okay, so
All
that
right.
pretty much
We
wraps
have.
up this episode. So you guys want to stay tuned, might want to stay tuned for the next episode, because the next episode, the Q&A section is going to be mostly about new products and new cool areas in which we have seen tech improve the most. So all
Yeah,
those
it's gonna be a fun
drones
one.
and fun things like that, like fitness trackers and the new generation of such things, right? So we're going to talk about those things a lot, and a lot of these new like cool gadgets that have been introduced, such as like smart glasses and all those things. We're going to be talking a lot about those, and I'm going to share some specs on those as well. Stay tuned for that.
Indeed. Stay tuned for that. Follow us again on all our podcatchers and on YouTube, and we'll see you in the next one.